Councillors, can I have your attention, please? I welcome you all to this meeting of the Cardinia Shire Council and declare the meeting now open. We will commence the meeting with the following reflection. I would ask those gathered to join us now for a few moments of silence as we reflect on our roles in this chamber. Please use this opportunity for reflection, prayer or thought to focus on our shared intention to work respectfully together for the well-being of our whole community. Thank you. The Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the previous meetings as listed? Councillor Moore and Councillor Kowalczyk to second. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Councillors, are there any declarations of interest tonight? I see none. We'll move on to ordinary business. The items on today's agenda are as follows. Item 6.1, Cardinia Planning Scheme Amendment, C278 card, New Environmentally Sustainable Development, ESD, Local Policy, Clause 22.11, and associated changes to the Municipal Strategic Statement. That was a long heading. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Davies, are you moving the officer's recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kowalczyk, thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for seconding the motion. Tonight, in accordance with the Council Officer recommendations, I resolve that Council resolves to seek the authorisation for the Minister of Planning to prepare Amendment C278 card to the Cardinia Planning Scheme, inserting a new clause, 22.11, for environmentally sustainable development into the local planning policy framework of the Cardinia Planning Scheme, and amending clauses in the Municipal Strategic Statement to reflect the introduction of clause 22.11, generally in accordance with attachments 1 to 5 as per the documentation for tonight. Likewise, the second item is to authorise council officers to make minor adjustments to the amendment, and subject to receiving authorisation of the Minister for Planning, gives notice under section 19 of the Planning and Environmental Act. Council proposes to follow the lead of 24 other councils and implementing an ESD local policy using the CASPI Sustainable Design Assessment in the planning process network framework. This framework is a streamlined and consistent methodology for requesting, receiving and assessing built environment sustainability outcomes through the planning process. When sustainable building practices are required at a local council planning level, not only does it improve cost effectiveness in terms of the planning and building process, this is through the early integration of sustainability principles, but it also tackles larger economic issues such as climate change and the security of water and energy systems. The benefits to Cardinia will be far-reaching, not only in terms of economic and environmental benefits, but also in community health and wellbeing. The overarching objective is that any new developments will achieve best practice outcomes from the design phase right through to the construction and operation. And over time, this early intervention to ensure best practice will enable the community to be more resilient to the future effects of climate change, such as flooding, drought and extreme heat. I can confirm that detailed scientific analysis as well as detailed expertise regarding planning policy and law has been considered and I'm also confident that this change is in line with the previously endorsed council plan, specifically where tackling climate change and its impact on our environment, economy and people is one of our most significant challenges and opportunities. In short, I am moving to adopt the council officer's recommendations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Kowalczyk, to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Radford, and thank you, Councillor Davies, for withdrawing this item. I'll keep it brief, but I do think it's important for the community to note that incorporating an ESD policy into the planning scheme does not trigger any additional planning permits and only applies to planning applications already required under other parts of the scheme. However, the proposed ESD policy will place additional workload regarding the assessment of planning applications. As part of the Council 2023-24 budget process, resourcing for an ESD officer will be considered. So I just thought it relevant to note that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Davies, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor. In closing, I'd like the Council to recall the series of previously endorsed documents, all informed by community consultation, which do envisage a sustainable built environment across Cardinia. Tackling climate change and its impact on our environment, economy and people is identified as one of our most significant challenges and opportunities in the Council Plan and the Community Vision. Our Council Plan identifies the development of this policy as a priority, and it requires the policy to be incorporated in the scheme. So in endorsing this action, we are closing the loop on the commitments we made at the start of our term. So I am seeking Council support in endorsing this motion tonight, which will endorse the change to Cardinia's planning scheme, subject to the pursuing application to the Minister for Planning. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.1, appointment of committee members to Medalla Hall Community Asset Committee. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Cameron, are you moving the officer's recommendation?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm moving the officer's recommendation.
Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Moore, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Cameron, the mover, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further to add except to say that the new president is actually under 40. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Moore, to speak.
I also say congratulations to this fantastic committee. It's a big committee, actually, if you look at the large group for a small hall. It's such a beautiful hall, Medalla Hall. It's right in our far east of the Shire, right on the edge of Bulbor. So it's a really great hall to go to, and they do a fantastic job, this committee, to they have a really great Christmas function there. Of years gone past, I'm not so sure what they do it now. They always played badminton there at the Medalla Hall for many, many years. But a great hall and a great committee. It's really good to see how volunteers stepping up in these committees, and I congratulate them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Cameron, to sum up, please.
Yes, I agree with the sentiments of Councillor Moore in relation to the hall. Many a dance I attended with my parents at that hall, dancing around the hall on my father's feet. So it is a lovely hall, and the committee is huge, and it also encompasses the Bulbor Rec Reserve, so it's all the same committee. So it's a great little hall. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.2, Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy Action Plan and Future of Waste Update. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Kowaczyk.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendations.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Davies. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Kowaczyk, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Thanks, Councillor Davies, for your second. Council is midway through our 10-year waste and recovery resource strategy. This strategy provides a roadmap for the future direction of waste services, resource recovery, waste-related education and advocacy. The initial 5-year action plan covering 2017 to 2021 is inevitably now completed, with all 39 actions implemented. Some of the key achievements include successful trial and introduction of green waste drop-off events, which I know many councillors are passionate about and the community is very grateful for. Expanding the opt-in curbside garden bin to include food waste. Renewal and improvement of all collection contracts and some processing contracts, including new, smarter, safer and more efficient collection vehicles. Improving management of illegally dumped rubbish with new tools and resources. And expanding the waste rebate program to include garden mulches, reusable nappies and sanitary products. A new action plan supporting the final years of the Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy from 2022 to 26 was endorsed in October 2022. It comprises of 38 actions which reflect the ambitions and direction of Cardinia's Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy, builds on the successes of the initial action plan, and also considers recent industry changes and the Victorian Government curbside reform requirements. This action plan brings both Cardinia's existing goals and new Recycling Victorian requirements together into one practical document. The curbside reform mandates requirements for a more standardised approach to household waste management within Victoria, helping address the urgent challenges that have caused disruptions to Victoria's recycling industry in recent years. Requirements include standardising bin lid colours and standard items accepted in each waste stream, making correct use and sorting much easier for all Victorians and therefore better recovery. A 4-stream waste and recycling service, and establishing specific waste to landfill reduction targets. Another key action Council is working towards as part of this strategy is finding alternatives to landfill. This work has been a priority for many years, driven by the impending closure of the only remaining landfill in the southeast metropolitan area, and a desire for better environmental and social outcome than long-haul transporting and landfilling for the future. Council is part of a collaborative procurement project involving 8 councils and supported by the Victorian Government for this project, which has now hit a key milestone. A tender process is underway for an advanced waste processing project. Thanks, Mayor. I'll leave it there and allow my fellow councillors an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Davies, to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to highlight, in addition to Councillor Kowalczyk's summary, that the waste and recovery strategic work is in line with the council plan, specifically in the creation of livable spaces and places where we'll advocate for, plan for and deliver accessible community infrastructure and services, in valuing our natural assets and supporting our biodiversity and moving towards a zero waste, and also practicing responsible leadership, maximising the value to our community. I'm also pleased to review this report, and I am confident that the initial consultation and current consultation has been delivered in accordance with council consultation policy under the IOP2 framework. I note that future community consultation is planned for a number of the actions included in the current plan, particularly in relation to the service changes, the final publication of the recycling service standards, and many of these are mandated service changes, but our council is positioning itself ready to inform and assist our residents in this process. The specific details are going to be determined in later reports, but the planning and implementation, I'm confident, is guided by data, expert advice and best practice. I note also that the financial and resource implications have been extrapolated and presented for council's review. While some services do mean new bin infrastructure and more enhanced service costs, these are legislative requirements, and they are being met within current recoup. So I am confident that the long-term considerations associated with waste have been diligently considered. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Kowalczyk, to sum up.
Thanks, Mayor Radford. I just want to also thank the council officers who drive this work, and it is a very important work that we do. Taking care of waste is obviously one of the key priorities of council, so it's very pleasing to read this report. I do also encourage the community to read the report if they're interested. It does provide a great update on the future strategic direction and upcoming priorities for the waste services area. We note the completion of the initial Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy Action Plan 2017 to 21, and note the scope of the new strategy from 2022 to 26. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.3, finalisation of special charge scheme, Princess Crichton catchment. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Springfield.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as noted.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Ross. Thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the last step in the process of special charge scheme, as we know it, as we've undertaken for a number of road projects under the Sealing the Hills program that we've been implementing. And this is the last phase of it. Again, it comes back to council to do the finalisation and declare the final amount. I can very pleasantly say that that works came in under the prescribed budget here by about $82,000, which is great if we can deliver these works under budget, because often with what we've seen in recent years of inflation, everything's coming over cost. So it's great to see that we've been able to do that. And the road is fantastic. So I don't know if other councillors, Mayor, have had a chance to down through Emerald, down near Nobelius Heritage Park. I've had a look at the road, the curb and channel, and it's a fantastic result. One of the local cafe owners lives down there, and she tells me repeatedly that she was, at the start, she wasn't happy for it. She was happy enough with her dirt road, but couldn't be happier that now that's been implemented and how much better their quality of life is living on that sealed road. So it's wonderful to see the positive response from the community that have contributed, and the community will contribute $70,000 towards the funding of this project. Underneath the you'll see that within the report with the finalisation of this. So it's great to see these projects roll out, but it is, it is sad at the same point, as we've talked about over the last few council meetings, that unfortunately the future funding of this project, of the Sealing the Hills project, has been discontinued at this point in time, but there is a lot of advocacy happening in the background, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to speak to that more later in the meeting on another agenda item, towards advocating to hope that the federal government sees the positive benefit that this program has delivered for our local communities and reinstate that funding in future budgets. But I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Ross, to speak.
Nothing further to be added, as I think Councillor Springfield has done a really complete description of the whole thing, and I look forward next time we're going up there to go for a drive down there and have a look. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, other councillors, for speaking. Definitely, this is a great success story. Obviously, the savings to the budget, but also, as what Councillor Springfield did say, it's a great asset that we've got with the Nobelius Heritage Park and the Emerald Museum. And years ago, it was at the end of a very rough, bumpy driveway, basically, to the great heritage asset we've got there. So to have a sealed driveway off Beaconsfield Emerald Road to this great community asset is fantastic, and that was achieved through this sealing program. And by memory, it was highly supported by the abutting residents who contributed $70,000. It was a high number of level of support, so that was a great success. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Springfield, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor. As I previously noted, this is the last step in the process, and you can see if you go through the report and you look at the checklist, because it is under a special charge scheme, there is many steps of engagement with the community that we're legally required to undertake to make sure that we're doing everything above and beyond with our community and bringing them along for the journey here, because we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't with their support. And so we do need to ensure all along the way that these types of projects do have the community support and those that are being affected by it. But as I can reiterate once more, strong community support. Everyone down there that I've spoken to has been very happy with the outcome of this. We will see a number of other roads under currently the $41 million that has been allocated for our projects in the future. But there is more disappointment than positive reinforcement here, because of that $41 million that has been promised, there is $109 million that was once promised that was now being rescinded. And we are really hoping that we can see that come back to the table in future budgets, so we can deliver the program in its entirety as we had planned to do so, and as our residents have had an expectation for us to help deliver. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.4, extension of the construction of urban and rural roads panel. Can I please ask for a mover? Councillor Davies.
Hello, Mayor. I do apologise I hadn't flagged this before the meeting, but could I move to defer the item, please?
Okay. Can I confirm whether that would be for 1 month till the next council meeting?
Yes, a short deferral. So, thank you.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Moore, thank you. Thank you. I'll now go to the mover, Councillor Davies, to speak on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Moore, for seconding the item. I need to take accountability here that it's not great to do a last-minute deferral. However, there is a couple of factors in this report that I would like to ask some questions of before I vote to move it, specifically because when this panel was set up, this was prior to the current council term and I wasn't present for the original decision making, and this report is seeking to extend an existing council decision for another 4 years. So I would like to just do my due diligence in my capacity and just be confident of the process. So, Council, I do seek your support tonight in a 1 month deferral, as I'm not comfortable endorsing this with my vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Moore, to speak, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just seconding this to support my fellow councillor. I can understand that if in doubt, defer, and I think that's what this case would be. So I'm happy to support Councillor Davies in this item. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other councillors who would like to speak? I'll go to Councillor Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I don't support the new revised motion to defer this. So I'd like to foreshadow that if this motion is lost to defer this, that I would foreshadow that I would move the officer's recommendation as listed. I think, you know, the reports here, I appreciate Councillor Davies would like some more time going through this, but I'm not quite understanding why we haven't had these discussions in the days leading up to this meeting rather than at the moment of the meeting. But it could have some unintended consequences as the current contract renewal, I believe, does end before our next council meeting next month, and hence why enabling that extension of this contract, I think, needs to be done in a timely fashion. Noting our previous discussion earlier this afternoon when we did talk over different items, that this isn't locking us into having to utilise this panel. It's just an extension of having this panel on hand for us to be able to utilise when it's so chosen for the awarding of contracts under the construction of urban and rural roads panel, which using its purpose which it was established for. So just noting that if this motion is lost, I will foreshadow the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. Any other councillors? I have Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I just ask a question to the relevant GM or CEO? Obviously, Councillor Springfield raised concerns regarding end of a contract, or can that just be responded to councillors about the consequences of this deferral, and that if the contract expires or the previous resolution expires, what's the consequences of that? You know, and what's the impact? Would a deferral be detrimental?
I'll go to Peter Benezik to answer that question. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, I support the deferral. I think if there was concerns, a special council meeting can be called to address this before the deadline. We are the 20th of March, so there is some time. So a special council meeting could be organised to address that concern.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. I'll go to Councillor Kowaczyk, please.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Thanks, councillors, for a really good debate. Respectfully, I disagree with Councillor Davies and Councillor Owen. I'm not going to be supporting the deferral tonight. I think if the deferral is lost and Councillor Springfield's foreshadowed motion goes through, I think councillors then have ample opportunity to do a bit more investigation. I think officers have time to come back to us. And as we sort of were noted in the briefing, this is only a vehicle that council can use to expedite the process of awarding contractors for roads. So I don't think there's any danger of us supporting the eventual officer's recommendations, and as such, I won't be supporting the deferral tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. Do we have any other councillors? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. With respect for everyone's opinion on this, I follow some of it where I worry that this is just an extension to go over a bit of time. It's not the whole contract being done again, it's an extension. I worry in today's climate where there's not a lot of certainty and people have already contracted to do certain things, that if we change the ball at the last minute and potentially, as Councillor Owen said, we would have to organise a special council meeting on contract by contract basis if they came up to continue on, and these people would see that we have to do that there might be a problem. I think we go with the extension, so I wouldn't support the deferral. But what I would say is, while the extension's on, that any questions that Councillor Davies would have and any concerns she may have, we can bring up then about a further extension to the contract in future. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Davies, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors. Look, I would like to reiterate that I'm a very busy person and I did not read the council documents in detail over the weekend, and I'm much more unprepared than I usually am. The reason for the last minute deferral is, whilst I acknowledge that this policy is a streamline for council officers to expedite the process of construction, save time, find efficiencies, and I do appreciate that streamline, it does remove the standard procurement process where a contract of a significant value, which would normally need to come to council, now can go straight to council officers. So the council loses that visibility. The danger in this to me is specifically that this is giving a 4-year extension to a decision made by the last council for a 3-year vehicle, essentially, to streamline construction. I am very conscious of transparency and accountability on council, and in asking for a 1-month extension, whilst it may delay the award of certain contracts that are already under consultation, the number of these is not necessarily large, and it's not delaying anything that's already in place. All it is removing staff having a streamlined approach and requiring them to use the appropriate standardised process, which is council reviewing contracts of that value. So I'm not saying that get rid of this panel. I'm not saying remove that, but I am concerned that 3 years ago, and I don't know any councillors that were on the council 3 years ago, maybe they have something to say, maybe they can recall it in detail, but I didn't see that decision. So in moving this motion, you're saying, yep, the decision we made 3 years ago, yeah, that meets current transparency, accountability, and I don't need to look at it again. I feel I need to look at that decision. So that's the reasoning. And I do acknowledge that it's not nice when it comes last minute, but it's something that I'm not prepared to put my vote to in the interests of accountability and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. We will now put this to a vote, and this is the deferment of this item to the next council meeting. All those in favour? Against? I declare that lost. I'll now go to Councillor Springfield to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as listed for 6.2.4.
Thank you. Can I please call for a seconder? Councillor Kowalczyk. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Springfield, to speak, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And look, I note the concerns have been raised by our councillors here today, but I feel from the information provided that I've looked into that I'm happy to approve the extension of this. It's not a program, but of this panel. It's not a contract as such, but it's a procurative panel put together by by a number of industry leaders that we use in these projects, and has been quite successful in my understanding leading up to this. We're not beholden to having to use this for any one particular project. It just gives us the avenue and the ability, as Councillor Kowalczyk pointed out, to use this as a vehicle in order to streamline some of these projects going out to award tenders. So I'll just move the officer's recommendation as listed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Kowalczyk, to speak.
Thanks, Mayor Radford. Thanks, Councillor Springfield, for moving this one. Evidently, I support the extension, but I also empathise with councillors who were moving to defer, in that perhaps on reflection more information could have been provided in the lead up to this meeting around this. So I understand Councillor Davies' position, and I think that there's some merit in her questioning decisions of previous councils. I think that is generally a wise thing to do. However, in this instance, the reason for me supporting this extension and then perhaps asking questions later is because this doesn't lock us into anything. This just enables the vehicle to keep going, and council can choose to use that or not. So what I propose is that we approve this tonight. We do a bit more work. We find out, we ask questions, we see if we can poke any holes in it. And if we find any holes, then we don't have to use it. But if we don't find anything, I think we'll be glad that we made the right decision tonight. So I hope my fellow councillors support this extension. But I also acknowledge that Councillor Davies does have a relevant point, and that it's important for all councillors to be informed. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we've spoken enough on this item. In summary, I don't have anything further to add besides reiterating my support for the extension of this oral and rural roads panel. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are now voting on all those who would like to, all those in favour of moving the officer's recommendation. Against? I declare that carried. Thank you. Item 6.2.5, Sealing the Hills Advocacy Update. Can I please call for a mover? Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council formally acknowledge the advocacy efforts of the Cardinia Shire community, support the Sealing the Hills petition number EN4785 that closed on March 8, and publicly note the petition numbers.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Springfield. Thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Springfield. It's reading from the report. It's really important to get the facts straight regarding what's happened in recent months. In 2019, Council received $150 million from the Australian government to seal 109 kilometres of unsealed roads in our hills community. So that was a commitment, $150 million commitment over many years. The project received bipartisan support, with commitments made by both the Labor and Liberal parties at the election back then. In July 2022, Council wrote to the Honourable Catherine King, formally requesting confirmation that the project will continue under the newly elected government. We did not receive a reply. Council identified that the Sealing the Hills project was not detailed in the Australian government's revised budget in October 2022. Immediate clarification was sought about the future of the funding status, and a letter was written to the Prime Minister in November 2022. Our Mayor, Councillor Tammy Radford, and Councillors David Feiss, Manager of Community Infrastructure Delivery, travelled to Canberra on Monday the 28th of November 2022 to meet with the Honourable Catherine King, Chief of Staff, to discuss the progress of this project. Councillor Mayor Jim Childs of the Yarra Rangers also attended this meeting with the Mayor. In partnership with Yarra Rangers Council, we have made a submission to the Australian Government budget process for the upcoming budget. The budget will be handed down in May, and Council will continue to advocate for funds from that budget. In early 2023, both councils received official confirmation of the removal of funds from future budgets. Council has received a letter of reply to the Honourable Catherine King, urging her to reconsider this decision, and Council has continued to advocate to the Australian Government to have the funding reinstated to its entirety. I also note that the Mayor and Council officers did meet with state government ministers, local government minister and roads minister, and also local members about this issue as well recently, so that was really good. The community have rallied together to petition the Australian Government. This petition will be tabled in the Australian Parliament and is asking to the House to urgently reconsider any decision made by the Albanese Labor government to discontinue funding for these imperative initiatives. So the petition can still be signed, I believe, and it can be found on the Australian Parliament website. I just want to thank the various community groups that have been really pushing this petition. I know Crag 21, the Cockatoo, Connecting Cockatoo group has been pushing it, and other community groups and township communities have been pushing this petition. I acknowledge Council's work in attending when requested, when invited, these township committee meetings to explain the history of what's happened. I understand there will be a meeting in Upper Beaconsfield soon, where Council will inform the community about the status of the roads in that community and the surrounding community. So I understand there's been a number of letters also sent out to residents, to all residents impacted, whether your road's still proceeding or your road is not proceeding. So it's really important that the community, obviously reads that letter and checks out Council's website to really find out, what is the current status of their road. I'll leave that there at the moment and ask other councillors to speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. I now go to the seconder, Councillor Springfield, to speak.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Owen, for moving this item and your words of support. Look, this petition, it did a great job. Community-driven petition here, 2,897 was the final figure when the petition closed. And I was told that today it was presented to the House of Representatives in Parliament. So it's going through that process. But it's look, it's a great number. It's a big number from what I'm told of these federal petitions, online petitions that they're launched. It's quite a outstanding number, and it exemplifies the community sentiment out there across the Hills regions, across the communities that we have of both Cardinia Shire and Yarra Rangers Shire, of how important it is to deliver a project like this, to see a number of these roads sealed. It's an unfortunate mistakes of history's past that we have the subdivisions and the roads built like they are in a number of these communities, that they are never today's standards. They would have been bygone from standards from the 70s, 80s and all that, but they were implemented a long time ago. And the planning provisions, would never meet up to anything in the standards of the last few decades. And these communities have inherited this. Cardinia Shire and Yarra Rangers Shire have inherited many of these assets in the state they are, and without substantial funding of this magnitude, there is no way to be able to seal them all and complete them. We do it piecemeal style over the years. We will deliver a road here and there when we can within our budget constraints, but we are constrained by a budget. And when it costs nearly $1 million, as we saw previously with the special charge scheme for Princess Avenue there, it doesn't go that far without substantial funding like this to really deliver a better outcome for these communities. So look, my great hope First, I've got to acknowledge the community groups such as Craig 21, Connecting Cockatoo, the Jambrook Community Group, the Emerald Village Association, and across Yarra Ranges, there was a number of community members and community groups that really got behind this and advocated this position. So I'd like to thank them and congratulate them for working together to get their voice heard over there in Canberra. And importantly, this is not a direct criticism of the current federal government, but really this is a call, this is a cry out to say, please understand the importance of this. You know, please come and visit these communities and take a drive down some of these roads if you would like to observe what this is like in the flesh for the experience that these people have had to live with for so long. And this funding was the avenue towards this. It was promised, it was relied upon, and now we've had to go out and tell a number of community residents that this may not be proceeding, that currently it's not proceeding, and this is our call to say, please understand our cry here and how important this program really is to deliver a better outcome for our communities. So thank you, ma'am. I'll leave it there, but really thank you, and thank you to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. Any other councillors? I see Councillor Ross. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just dating back to this, I think it's really sad for the community that the community expectation in some ways there was a great concern when this was first advertised, the $300 million as an election promise. When the advertising went up, I know at the time I was Deputy Mayor, and the CEO and I tried to get some more detail out of the promises that were given about what they actually meant, because it sounded like fantastic. At this election, we're going to promise $300 million, 150 to Yarra Ranges and 150 million to Cardinia Shire. Once we got some more detail, it actually, in the beginning, it said over 10 years. And we thought, well, over 10 years, that's 4 federal elections. How can you promise what 4 federal elections are going to do down the track? So we had it condensed to 3 federal elections at least for 9 years, thinking, well, that sort of brings a little bit more scope to it. But we asked them, what is it for exactly? And they said, it's for roads in the hills. And we said, but what roads? And the whole lot. So there was no detail. And then it was revealed that it says in our report that council received $150 million from the federal government. Well, I think it was $25 million that we got over the first 3 years, but that left this gaping hole, $125 million over the next 6 years. That means you've got to have new governments promise all of that amount of money, which is far in excess of the amount of money that was given in the first 3 years to deliver on this. So we as a council plan ahead and we go and look at the roads that we could possibly do, and we had some plans in this area anyway to borrow some money. So we coupled up with the whole lot of it. Unfortunately, and a lot of people in the hills, and the roads are desperately needed, most definitely, you know, we acknowledge that. But this is the problem, when people make these long-term promises, you can't promise what other people are going to have to deliver on in future, because the people mightn't even be there anymore who are there, and we don't know what the financial situation is. So in the end, a whole lot of people are let down, and it is really, really sad. And that's reflected by the petition that was got together, because those people were sold the pup. They were sold that they would get this done and the money would come, and it hasn't come. It is really disappointing for all of those people. The roads are desperately needed, and all the roads in our Shire, I know you can drive down almost any of the dirt roads and you will see how we are doing the best we can to maintain them. So I think it is really good that we're doing as much advocacy as we can, but I just worry about the promising of these things too. Like at the moment, we have situations like this, very similar, talked about in our budget, where if you let things go for too long, the price of everything changes too. So what you could have built for $150 million 4 years ago or 5 years ago is not what you could build today in roads. So the promises that they would have had to think that we could plan to do all this might be reduced to being half. Anyway, I do think it is really worthwhile, the advocacy. People need to know what the issues are and see if we can just keep, and I know that the group have done a really good job so far. They've squeezed a little bit more money out of the program than what they thought they were going to get, and they were promised in the beginning. So that's excellent. And hopefully this will just be a little bit more and a little bit more that they can keep gathering in. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I'll go to Councillor Kowalczyk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. Thank you to all the other councillors who have spoken. I think you've summed them up very, very well. I just wanted to briefly speak in support of the community, speak in support of people like Janice Crittenden, people who have put their heart and soul into this project, and also to my fellow councillors who I won't mention by name, but who have really carried the load on this and should be commended for their work in helping their local townships. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any more speakers on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to our mover, Councillor Owen, to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all councillors for speaking on this item. It is respectfully requested that councillors consider acknowledging the hard work of our community members who are advocating strongly to the Australian Government to have the decision to discontinue funding from the Sealing the Hills initiative reversed, and they note the petition and its final numbers. And the final numbers is just under 3,000, as Councillor Springfield did say earlier. Council will continue to advocate to the state and federal governments for reinstatement of funding to do what we envisaged. One example is Mount Burnett Road. Pretty much the button was ready to go on that. It's fully designed. Permits are very close in getting, and a lot of money has been spent in design, and there was issues around heritage, but it's ready to go. That's just one example where we as a council will advocate for other government funding to deliver such roads as Mount Burnett Road. That is such a critical road to really finish the strategic connections east and west in the middle sort of ranges that we have in our Shire. So we'll continue to advocate. I do thank obviously the community involved in their advocacy, and also council officers who's doing a lot of work, and our mayor obviously, and senior council officers in advocating for that funding. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. We will now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.6, Pakenham District Basketball Association Transition Plan. Please note that this item has been withdrawn from the agenda by council officers and will be considered at the next council meeting in April. Item 6.2.7, Kooyarrup Region Feasibility Study Outcomes. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Cameron, are you moving the officer's recommendation?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm moving the officer's recommendation that council notes the Kooyarrup feasibility study and infrastructure required in the region to facilitate access to 3- and 4-year-old kindergarten in accordance with the state government's Best Start, Best Life reforms, that advocates to the state government to fully fund and extend and deliver a 2-room kindergarten facility at Kooyarrup Primary School by the commencement of the 2024 school year, and delegates authority to the CEO and her delegate to negotiate the terms of the heads of agreement associated with the new facility on the school site.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Ross. Thank you. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Cameron, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross. In 2018, the state government announced the introduction of 3-year-old kindergarten reform, commencing with a minimum of 5 hours per week in 2021 and increasing to 15 hours per week by 2029. In order to plan for the rollout of 3-year-old kindergarten, each council had a kinder infrastructure and service plan, which was prepared in partnership with the Council and the Department of Education and Training. In 2022, the state government further introduced reforms through the Best Start, Best Life reforms, which includes free 3- and 4-year-old kindergarten from 2023, and the introduction of pre-prep as 30 hours per week for 4-year-old kindergarten. Enrolment trends over the past few years have demonstrated that demand is increasing faster than anticipated, and the latest Best Start, Best Life reforms are and will continue to impact service demand in the Kooyarrup region. A feasibility study of the Kooyarrup region, including the townships of Langlang and Bales, was completed in late 2022 to assist council to understand the current and future kindergarten facility requirements in the region to deliver the Best Start, Best Life state government policy. The study also included a condition assessment of each existing facility. This Kooyarrup region has 3 council-owned kindergarten facilities and 2 private for-profit childcare centres. To the north of Koo-wee-rup region, there are a further 3 council kindergartens and 2 private for-profit childcare centres located in the rural townships of Bunyip, Garfield and Nanagoon. Thank you, Mayor. I'll let somebody else have a chat.
Thank you, Councillor Carrot. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Ross, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. You only need to go through a couple of lines in the feasibility report to really see it. It says that by 2024 there's going to be an urgent need for more kinder places in the area and more facilities to be built. So if we don't sort of start this action now and start getting it on the road, it's not going to be there. And Koo-wee-rup, if you've got little kids in Koo-wee-rup, it's not exactly close to drive to a whole lot of other places if you don't have spots. So if parents don't have cars and the like, the kids are going to miss out because they just won't be able to get them there. So it's really important, Koo-wee-rup being the second largest town in Cardinia Shire, that they have the amount of, well, Doug's looked at me, it could be Emerald, maybe, but I know that Koo-wee-rup was the second largest town. They need to have the facilities because you just can't drive to other places that easy. You just can't push a pusher all the way to Lang Lang with your child in it if you had to. So anyway, I support this. I think it is really good. If the program's there, they should deliver on it. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to draw Council's attention to the specifics in this report. Firstly, that there is a significant demand for kindergarten facilities. Secondly, that at present we can't provide the infrastructure to support it. And finally, that in this report, we are noting this advice and also confirming the Council's direction, which is that the Council officers will advocate to the state government to fund and deliver a facility on Koo-wee-rup Primary School. So we're noting that, noting that Council is not committing to provide the service themselves, this is actually an advocacy piece that's being presented in response to this. So just for clarity, because the kindergarten reforms are significant, I think it's really important to understand what specifically we are doing. We do know the scope of the problem, but we also know, as the report says, that we're looking at a $2.5 to $3 million investment, which on current review of the budgeting is not able to be fit in. So that is the action we're taking with this report for clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Cameron, to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors. In a rate-capped environment, to fully fund the additional financial resources required to transform council's aged kindergarten buildings into contemporary facilities able to support implementation of the state government's kindergarten expansion reform is beyond council's financial capacity. Funding will be sought from the state government to deliver these reforms. The Koo-wee-rup region feasibility study outlines the current and projected shortfalls in the kindergarten places across the region over the next 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. We will now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.2.8, motions for ALGA National General Assembly and MAV State Council meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Kowalczyk.
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Davies. Thank you. I'll go the mover to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Thanks, Councillor Davies, for your second. This item of business is pertaining to motions to be raised at the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly and the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting. We note that with regard to the State Council meeting, due to the deadline for lodgement of such motions, that they have already been submitted to MAV. There are 2 motions proposed from Cardinia Shire to the National General Assembly and 3 motions proposed for the MAV State Conference. The content of the motions are varied and speak to financial wellbeing and vulnerability, protections from online bullying, harassment and trolling of candidates and councillors on social media platforms, and a requested amendment to the local government planning and reporting regulations. I wanted to raise the motion regarding financial wellbeing and vulnerability with the intent of having the federal government review the current funding model, which sees most of the funding in the southeast being directed to services in Dandenong. This results in disproportionate impacts on our local community who either can't access these services or have to overcome difficult barriers in order to be able to do so. The motions regarding online bullying, harassment and trolling of candidates and councillors on social media platforms and the requested amendments to the local government planning and reporting regulations are being led by Kingston City Council. They are seeking the support of other councils to also submit these motions to indicate support for their proposals. We became aware of these motions through the quality work of our mayor, and it's clear they have councillors' best interests at heart, as well as promotion of gender equity through policy change. There's detailed explanation of the proposed motions in the attached report, but it is quite detailed, Mayor, so I'll leave it at that for now and allow other councillors to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Davies, to speak, please.
May I remove my, I'll withdraw my right to speak. I'll defer my right to speak, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I got that. That's fine. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to you, Councillor Davies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for withdrawing this item. I would like to reiterate my support for this advocacy work. I think it is a real testament to our maturity as a councillor group that we're now aligning our advocacy and partnering to make a stronger image, stronger collective representation. So I want to acknowledge Councillor Radford's work in this space and Councillor Kowalczyk's as well in their leadership on this. And I do want to also note that we are essentially retrospectively making this recommendation, which was due to the timing for lodgement, as opposed, and I believe that there was support indicated in discussions, which does leave me comfortable in pursuing a retrospective endorsement, even though that that's something I'd usually question. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll now go back to the mover, Councillor Kowalczyk, to sum up. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Radford, and thank you, Councillor Davies, for your remarks. I would just ask that councillors consider the information contained in the report relating to the motions proposed and support these for the benefit of our community, for the benefit of all councillors and for those contemplating running for council in the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.5.1, Community Engagement Update. Can I please ask for a mover? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council notes the community engagement activities being undertaken this month as per the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Ross. Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Davies to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I will speak briefly. Tonight we are just noting a report issued by council officers, specifically the open space strategy, the Alma Trelaw Public Toilet and the Garfield State Park Reserve have formed their formal community engagement activities. This has included surveys on creating Cardinia. This has included community pop-ups regarding the open space strategy and reflective. The Alma Trelaw Public Toilet comments have actually fed into the plan for the project, which is now has now been changed. So I'm really appreciative of the efforts of all staff, and I would like to encourage all councillors to note the report and move this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I will now go to Colin Ross, the seconder, to speak. Thank you.
Nothing further, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors. The community engagement update, it's Council's community engagement policy, which sets out Council's accountability for community engagement practices. The policy meets the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020 and Council's commitment to undertaking the best practice, high quality community engagement activities to receive input, feedback and ideas from the community on the council projects, services, plans, policies, strategy and other council's decisions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Davies, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. I am moving that council notes the report as per the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 6.5.2, Major Projects Report. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Ross, are you moving the officer's recommendations?
I'm moving the report. Thank you.
Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Moore. Thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak. Councillor Ross.
I'll allow my fellow councillors to share a lot about the report and I'll fill in anything that they miss. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I'll go to Councillor Moore, please.
Okay, that sounds like a challenge, Mayor. I'll just make a few notes on a few things. The Nunagoon Rec Reserve Oval redevelopment is such a fantastic project. You've got to go down and have a look at this to believe it. The ground was a mess for many, many years, and when we had the big fires of 2019, we had the CFA staging at that reserve, and there was a lot of mess throughout the oval, and it did cause a lot of damage. So to see it back to its former glory and past that, with the drainage and sprinkler system through there, and the turf has been all rolled out and laid out, so it's beautiful and green. So the club down there are very appreciative of what council have done in that spot, and it's a really great effort from our staff. They followed it through, and they did tell them that like they couldn't get on the ground until next month, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So I think as far as what we've done and what we've said, we've followed through. The Nunagoon Club there, so it's a great thing to see. That's one, and the other one is the Tynong Road walking path. One project I've been chasing for the last 10 years has just been completed. And I think that's a fantastic effort. It was halfway done, halfway up Tynong Road, a walking path that gets utilised and gets used quite often by the local community of Tynong. So it's really great to see it all the way up to the highway, up to the bus stop at the top. So it's only a gravel path that mightn't sound much to many people, but it services our local community in Tynong, and they're at the Progress Association meeting I went to the other day, they were very happy with the final result to that job. So so it's really great to see these things happening in the Bunyip Ward area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. One there's Pakenham Regional Tennis Centre, the Pavilion extension. Pakenham Tennis Club has moved across, and so it's running on schedule. Its completion is round towards the end of 2023. It's fully funded by the council. And the Anderson Street tennis courts, anyone going past, it has been demolished today. So you will see work happening there to tidy up the grounds there. And other major projects is the Cardinia Youth Hub. And I went down there today to have a look. I keep my eye on that one and make sure that, I keep up to date of what's happening there. And the exciting thing is that it's looking fantastic. And May 2023 is predicted completion. It is aimed at youth at the age of 12 to 25, and it has services for programs in networking for them, learning new skills, mental health services. It's funded by Council, Victorian Government, Growing Suburbs Fund and the Australian Government. And the last one I wanted to mention was the Pakenham McGregor Road and Henry Street intersection. There's been a lot of conversations about that, and the LXRP, everything's progressing really, really well with the crossings being removed. This is funded by Council, DCP funding and external funding yet to be secured. So, but the works you'll see at the Pakenham station and the line going up, it's looking really, really good, and that's running on time as well. So that's all I've got to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, other councillors. I just want to talk about the Upper Beaconsfield Reserve new pavilion, and has been discussed quite extensively in the community of Upper Beaconsfield lately. Council officers are currently in discussion with the Committee of Management and user groups in relation to options to facilitate the needs of the users whilst reducing the delivery costs of the project. So I understand that the Committee of Management has been asked to provide their views of the alternative design, so I look forward to receiving their feedback. I note this project is very important to the Upper Beaconsfield community, and in my opinion, it's definitely Upper Beaconsfield's turn for a upgrade of that facility. So I do look forward to Council continuing to discuss this item in future budget discussions. Next item is the Strategic Road Sealing Program, and this program is not affected by the federal funding. At this stage, it's not affected. It's good that works are continuing to proceed on that, and this includes a section of Thurles Road, Pakenham, Huxtable Road in Pakenham Upper, and Door Road, Bessie Creek Road. So those are continuing at various sort of levels. Detailed designs are now complete for Door Road and Bessie Creek Road and Mike Lyle Road and Huxtable Road. Final environmental impacts have been calculated and planning permits will be sought for tree removal. Tenders for Mount Lyle and Door Road are scheduled to be called in March 2023. Works are scheduled to begin on Door Road in August, September 2023. Just about the Princess Highway intersection upgrades, obviously there's a list of future Princess Highway intersection upgrades. Council's intention is to deliver all these, but obviously my understanding is that Council will need to continue to advocate for further fundings to make sure that we can deliver these intersection upgrades. We know when announcements were made by the then federal government about these intersections, costs for such intersection delivery has increased. So for these intersections to be completed, I think Council definitely needs additional assistance. So I look forward to learning more about the progress of these intersections in the future. Also about the footpath program, I too are very pleased about it. Gembrook Road, very similar to Tynong Road, as well as just extending the footpath network south down Gembrook Road to those residential properties south of the township, and I think they edge into my ward up there as well, so that's really good. Fieldstone Boulevard in Beaconsfield, it's really completing the missing connections. Fieldstone Boulevard is quite a significant collector road and feeder road to Beaconsfield Emerald Road, and it's really good to really complete the missing sections so we can encourage people to get about and walk if they can and avoid the car. So that's really good. I'm following those works with great interest. I think that's it for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Do we have any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Ross, to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, other councillors, for highlighting some important projects out of this, and I'd encourage the community, if they want to see what's happening around the Shire and where money's going, to have a read of this report. This really does highlight some of the bigger projects and the amount of money that's being spent out there on certain items. A couple of items I'd like to highlight, and Councillor Ryan neighbours with myself on one of these particular roads, is the McGregor Road, Henry Road, Henry Street intersection area there. That has been such a bottleneck for so long, and it is really, really sad that about 15 years ago, that when we did the extension of the north end, that we encouraged, and we even had designs, council paid for designs to widen that intersection and to have it signalised way back then. Unfortunately, that between the north and the south end wasn't controlled by council, it's controlled by state government. So state government basically didn't put the money towards it. So we built everything so it wouldn't be a bottleneck. Unfortunately, we couldn't control the rest. Anyone who drives down that intersection knows if anyone's doing a right-hand turn, it's that small. If they move too far over, you've got to go, you actually get held up. And it creates this real impatience from people who are sitting there waiting. And there is that many accidents that happen down there. It should have been signalised years ago, and it's excellent that it's part of the process being signalised, because that's the only safe way people are going to get out onto that road, like they've been trying to do over years and years. So that's excellent to see that that's finally been acknowledged and that's in the plan, and that's what some of the hold up is down there at the moment with the project that's being done. The other one I wanted to highlight is I've been talking lately with the people from the Pakenham Athletics Club and the like, and they're that excited about having a new facility after 40-something years, and they're really, really keen for it to be done by the start of next season. So that's the challenge in hand, that if the weather stays good, we will be able to get it all finished, and it will be the facility that they've been promised to build. Fortunately, I got over to the Casey Masters Athletics group over at Casey Fields. And if you want to see how many people use these facilities, these all-weather facilities, it's not just the athletes who go there, it's all other people from the community come down and have a run around, kids, school kids practicing for their school events, and the whole lot of it come down and use the facilities. So I look forward to having an all-weather facility there. And I was talking to Pakenham Road Runners, which is a wonderful local group that take on anybody. Even if you've never run one step in your whole life, they will take you on and they will turn you into, believe it or not, they can make anyone into a marathon runner. They have had people who have never run ever before, and they're excited about the IYU facility as well. They said when we eventually get some funding for the actual clubhouse, not just portable clubhouse, but a real pavilion down there, that they're interested in becoming a co-tenant as well down there to make sure it's used all year round. I think it's excellent. I think it's going to make a whole lot more schools encourage them to want to do athletics. You don't have to drive all the way out and get buses and the whole lot of it to do it. We'll have a local facility which is excellent for the hub that it should be here before you have to go any further. Anyway, they're just a few of the passionate projects that I've got. I thank the other councillors for sharing some of theirs, because I know some of them are long-term projects that take a long time to line the ducks up and get the dominoes in all that. And it sounds like some of them are about to be finished. So we look forward to that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. That concludes discussion of the agenda items tonight. I'll now ask if there are any councillors who have any matters to report. Councillor Kowalczyk.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Just want to run by a couple of big events we've had on in the Shire recently, and it has been a busy month since our last meeting. On the weekend, we had the Pakenham Show, and even though it was a very windy day, I know it was attended by a number of my councillor colleagues as well. It was a fantastic day, great day for everyone to bring their kids down and get involved, and really a treat for me to see the community together again. I know a lot of councillors really enjoy that, so that was fantastic. I had a couple of opportunities to represent our mayor. One was for the official sod turn at Creekwood Park Playground with our local MP Emma Voolan. Councillors Ross and Moore also there, and that was fantastic. And also at the Pakenham Pumas Baseball Grand Final, which was a really fun event. Thanks to Greg Clutterbuck, who's the club president, for the invitation and the opportunity to throw out the first pitch, which you'll be pleased to hear I didn't stuff up. But no, very, very fun, very grateful for that opportunity. A couple of weeks ago, we had Parks Week. There were a number of events throughout the Shire, which were attended by a number of different councillors. I attended Walnut Way Playground with my kids. There was a visit from a local kindergarten and a waste truck came along, which your kids absolutely loved. So that was a really great event to get kids out and different people out to experience our local parks. So that was a real highlight. Obviously, we had International Women's Day pretty recently on the 8th of March, and I attended 2 events on the day at Living Learning Pakenham and right here in the Chambers. There were a number of great speakers on the day, including our Mayor and our CEO, but I just wanted to highlight Abiola Ajedamobi, who spoke really powerfully about equity and about how we can get there and why the day is so important. So I just thought it was important to highlight Abiola's speech the day there at Living Learning. Another iteration of the Pakenham CBD safety meeting, thanks to our friends at Victoria Police. I want to encourage any local traders within Main Street or Marketplace or that central area to really get along there. Councillor Ryan often attends these meetings with me, and they're really a pulse check and to raise any ongoing issues with our local police regarding safety. You get updates from VicPol as well as level crossing removal teams, and yeah, it's really important there that we get as many local businesses involved there as possible. I attended International Mother Language Day at the Pakenham Hall, which is a UN recognised day to promote awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity and to promote the protection of people's mother tongue. That was a really great day. I want to thank the organisers of that for the invitation. We also had Jason Wood down there as well. So a really fantastic day and a lot of fun. We finally had the official opening of Tumac Reserve, which the Mayor opened with the pavilion upgrades on the North and South pavilions, a fantastic event. The Cardinia embroidery event, which I'm sure was attended by a number of councillors as well. I just want to thank Eleanor and all of the contributors to what is not only beautiful art, but also a part of the history of our Shire. And finally, we had Clean Up Australia Day, which myself and Councillor Ross attended the official one, but I'm sure other councillors were involved too. There was about 50 officers there, 50 council officers there, which was really great to see. Thank you to Arushi, to Kerry and Jackie for their work in helping to organise the day. It was a fantastic day, and I'm sure Councillor Ross will attest to that too. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for your report. Any other councillors? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. On the 20th of February, I attended the 20th anniversary morning tea at Cardinia Culture Centre. And it doesn't seem all that long ago when it was built and the celebrations we had then. So we had a musician there, the Mayor was there, Councillor Ross was there. So it was a lovely morning tea and we got to meet quite a few residents within the community that attended. And so it was a great celebration. On the 2nd of March, the official opening as Councillor Kowalczyk, sorry, I went a blank then, Councillor Kowalczyk, with the Tumac Reserve celebration of the official opening, and I think that was been a long time coming since I've been in council. It's been horrendous type of hard work that councillors and officers have worked on, and it finally was achieved. So that's fantastic. The Pakenham station with the LXRP, I went down and had a good have a look around and on site, and I asked an enormous amount of questions. I think they were sick of me by the time I was finished there, but I just wanted to have a full picture of how things were running and the ideas that were going there, especially the open space and how that's going to work. And they've kept in touch and informed all of council of what's been going on, and I think it's really a fantastic project. It doesn't look like much now, but where I was standing from and looking down the line, it was absolutely fantastic, and just the way they're working, and they're running it really, really well on time at this stage. So I was really, really impressed with that. Coffee with the cop. I attend that as several other councillors attend that at the marketplace. So that's always important. So if you go into marketplace, any resident or any councillor, just join in, because you get to talk to the residents about what their concerns are, and it's about safety within the community and how we can improve it. And I value the input that we do get. On the 5th of March, Get to Know Your Park, it was called, at the Don Jackson Reserve off-leash dog park. And they had Beyond Obedience dog trainer there that offered the services there for free. And it was a way of, again, just interacting with residents that had their dogs running around, and they were having a ball. They were in the water, they were throwing balls around. Some dogs just didn't even want to move. But it was really great to be part of it, because it was just, it's a utilised park now since it's been open. And so that was, and it was also with the compliance team and myself, it gave residents an opportunity to ask questions and validate what their concerns were, and see if we can pass it on, and if it's fixable or if it's not. We've already mentioned about the CBD Railway Precinct Safety Meeting. On the 8th of March, attended the International Women's Day as well, living and learning, and at the afternoon tea here at the Shire office. On the 9th of March, I was asked to do a presentation at U3A, and it was in reference to about seniors and mature age people, and what's available to them within council, how they can go about it, because some of them don't use computers, so what other access is there for them. So I followed through with all the information that I could possibly give them, and pamphlets, and they found that was helpful, and I plan to do that on a regular basis. And I think it's really important that, you know, they feel connected and networking with us in a different capacity. The 9th of March, Ron Andrews Reserve had coffee with the cop. The SES was there, VicPol was there, ambulance was there. We had musician there. We had games to play. We had the police playing games, and the police sirens were going off, and they were kind of annoying us in the end, because there was one little boy behind. The mayor was there, and it was getting to both of us. Every 2 seconds the siren was going off. But again, it gave the community the opportunity to interact with us, and to meet up with their ward councillor, but also the mayor, and Councillor Ross was there, and Councillor Moore was there as well. And so that was really great. And the team, I thank the team, the Community Partnership Committee, because without them we wouldn't be able to have these running. On the 12th of March, Sunday morning at 7 a.m, I was at a breakfast with Tony Pearce. Now, Tony is embarking on an incredible journey, and it's in reference to getting the message out there about mental health and mental health services within our emergency services. Having the conversation with him, as he knows I'm a very strong advocate about mental health and mental health services. We're going to stay connected and keep putting things up on Facebook in reference to where his journey is, how he's going, what he's achieved from that, and raising money as well. And I think that's really important, because without our emergency services, we wouldn't be able to go to hospital. We wouldn't be able to have the services that are out there. And I just value what they can do out there, our emergency services, and people like Tony to get out there and do this run. And Tony is in an emergency services as well. So good luck to him on his journey. It was wonderful to talk to him, but I was very tired at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's but great breakfast. Aging Well Network team, they had a meeting, catch-up meeting. I'll finish off with I'm sending my condolences to the Mann family. Albie Mann, who was part of the Men's Shed, a very, very strong advocate for the Men's Shed, but also contributed an enormous amount. He was a local bus driver as well, so he was well known. He passed away peacefully, and my condolences to Carmen and the family. And Councillor Moore was there, Councillor Owen was there, and myself. And so I sent some flowers in reference to Council. So to send our love and peace and harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for your report. Do I have any other councillors? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I certainly haven't been as busy as Councillor Ryan. The 5th of March, I went to the West Gippsland Rail Town Food and Wine Festival. So this festival was the brainchild of the local community who want to see more visitors make the most of West Gippsland towns serviced by V-Line. So it was an absolutely fabulous day. There were heaps of stalls there. The food stalls were fantastic. There was lots of wine tasting to be had, and there were loads of people there. The queue actually went back to the corner of 8 Mile Road when I was trying to get in, so I had to do a bit of queue jumping. But yeah, I spent a couple of hours there and spent way too much money, and it was just a wonderful day. So that was all I've been up to.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. I think I spent a bit too much money on that day at that event too. Any other councillors? We have Councillor Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly to mention something a little different. A few weeks ago, I went to the Creative Networking Night held by the Council's arts team at the Hills Hub. And this is about the 3rd or 4th time they've held this event. And it's a fantastic event. So just a note for councillors, you were there, Mayor, which was fantastic to see, but note for councillors and the artistic community alike, this is promoted and happens every 3 or 4 months, and it's an opportunity to gather together through just through a social sort of thing with some events and that, a little bit of food and drink provided, but for the creative community to get together, mingle with each other, learn about what each other does, and see how they can support each other and how council can help support them and arts within our community. So it's a lovely event. I just thought I'd mention quickly. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. Do I have any other councillors? Councillor Owen, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to also acknowledge Albie Mann, as mentioned by Councillor Ryan. Just reading, he was a life member of the Cardinia Men's Shed, and back in last year he was interviewed by the Pakenham Gazette Q&A session. And he says, I love custom cars and model cars. I love Richmond Football Club, but most of all, my dear wife, Carmel, and my 3 children, Paul, Sharon and Jamie. What is he passionate about? I have fun and laugh and enjoy meeting people and spending time in their company. I also like helping people out, more so with COVID-19 and other things. I was with the Lions Club for a while. I like Pakenham as it's the best of both worlds. It's got the country city feel, and you also have parks, good shopping centres, sporting ovals and Cardinia life. What do you love about volunteering? I'm a life member of the Cardinia Men's Shed, and they are like my second family. We share lots of laughter together. The Men's Shed is the best that's happened to me. It brings men together and benefits their health, and some members live on their own. We have speakers on health and other topics, but that just sort of sums up Albie Mann. Also want to acknowledge the passing of Jan Herford. I think she used to work with my dad at the Dandenong City Council many years ago, but she was a resident of Maryknoll. Yep. Also heavily involved in carers groups in Cardinia. She also involved in the Cardinia embroidery and arts projects as well. So I just acknowledge the passing of Jan as well. I went to the Pakenham show in very difficult circumstances. Well done to everyone involved. And I want to acknowledge council's officers, the emergency management team and also our waste team. It's really great to see council out in the public at these shows, these exhibitions, to really explain what we're doing in this space. So that was really good. Late last week, I met briefly with the village, the Upper Beaconsfield Village Festival Committee. They want to further work around and improve the car parking of the reserve of the festival, and work with council. So that was a really positive meeting regarding future festivals in Upper Beak. Also, on the 21st of February, Councillor Moore and I attended a meeting in Beaconsfield about the concern about the possible loss of the railway house in Beaconsfield as part of the level crossing removal project in Beaconsfield. So I just wanted, at the meeting, I reassured the community there that council strongly supports the retention of the railway house and the bunya tree, and council didn't meet with the level crossing removal people today, and we strongly conveyed the community's concern about any loss of the railway house. So we'll continue to really push that. I appreciate the level crossing removal is a state government identity, and we're the local council, but this project, this issue is very important to the community of Beaconsfield, that we need to save this very important heritage house. So obviously those discussions are continuing. There's a petition still out to save it, and there's a strong community campaign in that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Owen, for your report. I will now go to Councillor Ross. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It has been an extremely busy time, with the weather being really good and everyone being excited to get their things up and running again. I, like some of my fellow councillors, went to the anniversary of the CCC. It was really great to see that it was actually become a cultural centre with stage 2, because on the initial stage it didn't really have the arts precinct to it, which was going to be stage 2. But at the time, the vision and the insight that the previous council, way back over 20 or maybe 25 years ago, decided to go down that pathway, was seen in fruition, and it's a really delight to go down there to see people using it, and particularly the art space, not having to use some of the older places they used to use, but using this new facility. Also too, I attended the Pakenham show. I got there a bit early, and I was up there with the skateboarders, and they say they'd like to have a new bowl put in as well. It's the only section that they don't. They were having a competition there with the skateboarders and the young kids on the bikes. The YMCA bring all the prizes, so they come along. They all get excited. They were sharing each other's bikes and skateboards and everything at the event. I must say it was really windy, and I think it was really trying for the people there, but they were enjoying to be out there. They said at least it's not raining. So that was one positive thing. It was great to see so many councillors turning up there. I also visited the Pakenham Park Run group, and we were sharing with them. I was sharing with them just on some of the stuff that's been done down there over the time they've been there. And we talked about, getting the pathway ground down, getting it widened in certain sections, how different parts of the community lobbied to get the toilets for them, having extra bridges, having the water fountain put in down about the 2K mark, and all those different things. And they actually said they feel really, really fortunate that they've got such a really good facility down there. So they're really excited. They're there every Saturday morning. I went to the Cardinia embroidery celebration event, which I know Councillor Moore was there, the Mayor was there, the Deputy Mayor was there. I think Councillor Ryan wasn't there. But I'm not sure if anyone else was there, but that was an awesome event, because people who don't understand, they're now permanently got these embroideries up in a section that will never come down, to protect them for the future. It gave a rollout of the history, and it was really unique that the lady had taken so many pictures and videos of the actual event on how it was done. And I can even remember a time when they were doing some extra embroideries, and they had it down at the cultural centre, and a lot of the community who went down, we all got to do a couple of stitches in it, so you all felt like you were part of something. And it was just awesome to see the people there again, and the fact that you will soon be able to go down there and see the history. We were talking about doing QR codes on the different pictures, so you can actually get your phone. Now we all know what QR codes are for, and you can get a history come up on your phone of exactly why it was built and what you're looking at. I attended, like Councillor Kowazik, the Clean Up Australia Day event. I must say it was amazingly attended by this council staff. They were really passionate and enthusiastic about going down there, and they did a really good job. They had a truck turn up afterwards. There's probably almost a truck full of stuff just gathered around the area in Officer. Also, I attended the International Women's Day Change the Game event, which was held at Beacon Hills Golf Course. And I must say that is a real celebration story up there for what council did years ago when I first got on council. That the golf club weren't going too well, though they owed lots and lots of money. They kept carving off parts of it and were selling it, and it was in decline. It was, in the end, it was going to be lost, and people were going to buy it out. Council stepped in at the time and underwrote the whole thing. We paid off their debt. We made sure that we became a partner in the whole place. And we said that if it ever goes into in negative territory on their books, that we would take over the whole thing. We've had someone sitting on the board there, our General Manager of Finance, ever since that time. And I must say, anyone who goes up there, you will see something that is a real lovely presentation. It's been preserved. It won't be sold off. It'll be kept for open space for perpetuity by council. So that was a wonderful event. And the event actually highlighted, we had Tiffany Cherry turn up, who spoke about women in sport. We had some local people as well, a young girl who went to one of the schools in Cardinia Shire, and she was sharing her athletics history and just how hard it was as a woman or a young girl to try and make your way in the sport. There was another young lady there that competed for Australia in the Paralympics, and she told that she was a really good athlete until she had a car accident at the age of 18, and then she became a Paralympian. She didn't know at first, and she shared her story on how things have moved so far forward to be more encouraging for women to participate. After that, I went down to the Garfield Railtown Food and Wine Festival, and I know we all went at different times. I got a milkshake down there. I saw Councillor Moore down there. He'd been in and out all day, and I left some wine for him to have down there, my share of the wine. So that was an amazing event. There were so many people there. It was so well attended. I actually thought it was on every month. So I put up that it was on every month. I got corrected. No, it was a one-off event that they will try and have more regularly down there. So that was excellent to attend. I did briefly see Councillor Owen from a distance at the Bellevue Orchards Farm Gate, which was a really, really good event that encouraged people to come down and taste their goods. It also had it set up for kids, but also they did tours on where all their cider comes from and all their juices and what they do with them down there. So that was a really good local event that I think was well attended. There were a lot of people in the car park. I'd also like to just highlight the fact that on our parks, we did events in the parks. And I went up to Emerald, and they had a local talent named Andrew Swift, a country singer up there singing. He's got many CDs and the whole lot of it. He was excellent there. There was a whole lot of people up there, and council provided that as part of the parks funding program. That was excellent, really well attended as well. I'd like to just highlight and farewell from those who don't know our General Manager, Jenny Cicluna, who it was amazingly attended here by so many of the staff who got to share some wonderful stories about Jenny. And I must say, Jenny started off with a really, really hard food on her plate when she first arrived with the Kinders Together situation. And that was really, really tough for her. But from that point on, through the bushfires, how she coordinated all of the people around that, I must say, the work her and her team did at that bushfire up around Bunyip. I got to fill in for a little while as a deputy mayor for the mayor. And when you go to a community meeting with people that have just had a bushfire go through and they're really, really upset, and we've got council staff who just walk around just writing down every single question you've got, and they get back to you within a day or two with answers to absolutely everything you can ask. And she coordinated all of that. They never complained. They just did their job. And I think they did an absolutely wonderful job at that. So I'd look forward to seeing where Jenny's career goes from here. I know at the time when I was mayor that she was one of the applicants to become the CEO, and that's one of her goals in life. She'd love to become a CEO. I'm sure she'll be a wonderful CEO one day of a council out there. So congratulations to Jenny with her new role, and we look forward to seeing where that goes. I did attend Councillor Springfield at the Hills Hub. There was the Prism arts event that was up there, and there was a young guy named Day, and or a young person named Day, and Day actually had coordinated with the LGBTI people in Cardinia Shire a Facebook site, because he said when you're in that, he was about late 20s, and he said you feel very lonely and very isolated because there's a whole lot of people out there who don't have a lot of time for you. And he got this group together, and he discovered there was something like 150 young people out there who could identify and talk together, and they actually felt like they were a group. So he encouraged them to put in artwork, to do an art show, and James and his team put some money towards the art show. He coordinated the whole thing. He designed it. He was there almost every day for it. And the little amount of money that he got, he actually didn't take any of the money himself. To all the artists who gave the money, he gave it out to them to pay for their artwork, to show them just how important it was. And a couple of the parents got up to share just how much confidence this group had given their children or their young people. And they said the mental health in the area is really, really bad. It's double that of suicide of any other demographic. And they said since they've been involved in this group and doing things like this, they've been encouraged. They feel more inclusive at school and everything, and they've really blossomed. I also attended the VLGA's event in the city for International Women's Day. It was based around gender abuse in local government. It was really, there was a senior lecturer, a doctor from the University of Melbourne who'd done a report on gender abuse inside local government. And it was absolutely appalling to hear how so many women don't rerun for council and get affected so heavily. And it's almost like people target these people, whether it's on social media, whether they intimidate them by seeing them in the street, and how they treat them so totally different to what they do the men. It was actually really, really disappointing. I can't wait for that report to come out, because I'm sure there'll be some actions at the back end of that we can do, and we can encourage government to put things in place to stop these abuses happening. And I know it was mentioned earlier, we're going to ALGA, supporting the City of Kingston on raising these issues to see if more things can be done, because it's just appalling. Our citizenship events have been absolutely amazing. I know everyone from all sides of Parliament turn up, councillors turn up, and the people are really excited. It is great to have them back in person, to see so many people in Cardinia Shire become new Australian citizens is just wonderful. And I think so that's one of the other highlights, and I know that happens on a monthly basis. I'll try and finish up here. I'll finish up on one note. I know the Tower Hill Run was up at the Upper Beaconsfield Festival, and from what I hear, Councillor Jack was in it, and I hear Councillor Owen was in it too. And at the end of it, they were a bit filthy that Jack finished ahead of Brett, apparently. I'm imagining you ran with your son, Brett? No. Anyway, I think it's wonderful that our councillors get involved in these events as well. I know when I was mayor, I actually wanted to do the Puffing Billy Run, and I geared up to do it, and I was going to beat the train. And the year I was going to run, I had the time in my hands. Unfortunately, my daughter was in the Victorian Gymnastics Championships, and she was the #1 candidate to win, and she won. So I had to go to that, and I couldn't go to that, so I was feeling. But anyway, it's been a really busy month. It's wonderful to see the community out there enjoying it, and it's good to see so many councillors out there supporting council and showing their face. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for giving me enough time to share all that stuff, because I know I've gone over the time. Thank you.
Thank you. It certainly has been a busy month. I know that from my own activities as well. Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. After all that, I'm worn out. Anyway, there's two things. When I was mayor and went in the Puffing Billy race, I went on the train. It was a smarter thing to do. It was a great lunch, really good thing to do. And I'm looking forward actually to the Pakenham Gazette coming out this week. Of course, there'll be all the photos of the show in Pakenham. Looking forward to Councillor Ross on a skateboard. I gather you went on the skateboard with the young people there, so I'm looking forward to that down the track.
Councillor Moore, I actually had leather shoes on and I stood on the side of it and I slipped down the whole side on my backside. So anyway,
Okay.
hopefully they didn't get a picture of that.
I'd like to see that as well. That'd be fantastic. And I did at the Beaconsfield Progress Association. I want to thank Councillor Owen. He spoke beautifully to the community there, very passionate under a difficult circumstance. So well done, Councillor. It was a really great thing to go to and share with you. I'm not going to dwell on the past. I'm going to look to the future, if I may indulge me, Mayor, to look at a few events that are coming up. I think we've done the history enough. The Bunyip Show's coming up and the 26th of this weekend on a Sunday. So get to the Bunyip Show. It's a fantastic day to have at the Bunyip Show. That the committee do a great job there. Of course, the Harewood Heritage Festival, which is in Tooradin. It's in Western Port Ward, but it's a fantastic festival to have at Harewood at the Heritage property. It's beautiful right alongside the Tooradin Airport. So get along to that because it's a great day, and all the funding that's raised from there goes back to the community health at Coorup. So it's really worthwhile doing. They've got a great committee there. I went and see Mr. Yakaboo the other day. With the Yakaboo Festival coming up in the near future, I went and actually visited him. By the way, he's not a real person. Mr. Yakaboo sounds like he is, the way I might speak passionately about this person, object on wheels. Yes, he's looking in a pretty bad state after many years of being in storage. So the festival's back on again after a few years of not being on with the COVID. And it's really going to be great to see Mr. Yakaboo on the streets again. And I want to congratulate the committee for sticking with the Yakaboo Festival for all these years. And I'm looking forward to seeing that great day and that big green face coming out. That's not me, that's Mr. Yakaboo, coming out on the 29th and 30th at the end of the month. Don't forget to come along and support this wonderful festival that is unique to Pakenham. And let's get behind it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Are there any other councillors who would like to? No, I see none. Great, thank you. Thank you, councillors, for all your reports. I will now move on to a presentation of petitions. Do I have any councillors who would like to present a petition? I see none. So we'll move to community question time. We have received a series of questions from John Palasides. Is Mr. Palasides in the gallery? I acknowledge Mr. Palasides in the gallery. Thank you. I will refer your first question to Andrew Pomeroy, the Acting General Manager, Governance, Facilities and Economy, to read and answer. Mr. Pomeroy, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Thank you, John, for your question. I'll read out the question first and then I'll follow with some answers. Question 1. Has Cardinia Council signed up to the Smart City agenda? If so, will there be a pilot? Where in Cardinia municipality will that be? And what is the plan? And my answer is, thank you for your inquiry regarding Cardinia Shire Council's plans for smart cities. Cardinia Shire Council is committed to fostering a culture of innovation, and we're currently exploring the best ways to leverage technology to benefit our community. We're in the process of developing a policy framework that will guide our decision making when it comes to investing in smart city infrastructure. This framework will ensure that we prioritise value for money and value for the community, so that any investments we make in this area will have a positive impact on the people of Cardinia. At this stage, we're still in the early stages of this process. Our plan is to develop a comprehensive and effective policy, which will enable Council to make informed decisions that will have a positive, lasting impact on our community. Thank you for your interest in Cardinia Shire Council's plans for smart cities. We look forward to sharing more information with the community as our work in this area progresses.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question I will refer to Lily Rosick, the General Manager of Livable Communities. Thank you.
Thank you once again for your question, Mr. Palasides. The second question is, with the rollout of the 4G, 5G small cell towers, there are many passing the buck of accountability. Council say it's a state rollout and state say it's federal, and federal point to local council. Has there been any studies on the health impact to residents and environment? Since there is no long-term impact known for these, who's liable, council, state government or federal government? The answer is telecommunication companies such as Telstra, Optus and Vodafone do not require local government or any government approval for the installation of low impact facilities such as small cell towers specified in the Telecommunications Low Impact Facilities Determination 2018. This is different to the requirement for the larger high impact macro cell mobile phone towers where a planning permit is required. The Australian Communications and Media Authority, an arm of the federal government, is responsible for monitoring these small cell towers. The providers are required to strictly follow the mobile phone base station deployment code. Every mobile phone base station, including small cells and 5G base stations, must meet Australian standards designed to ensure that they are safely operating within electromagnetic energy. Based on current research, there is no established health effects that can be attributed to low electromagnetic energy. EME, electromagnetic energy, limits are set by the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency, again an arm of the federal government, which is based on scientific research.
Thank you. I will now refer your third question again to Andrew Pomeroy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Question 3. With the government identified that the Chinese cameras put privacy at risk, are there any cameras in Cardinia municipality that are the same model or provider? Are they getting removed? And is there an audit on cameras installed, especially at traffic lights and high density populous areas? And the answer is, thank you for your question. The majority of cameras located within Cardinia Shire are the types of cameras which have been identified as the Chinese brand suspected of having security vulnerabilities. The cameras installed by council are predominantly for building security, such as the cameras in and around the Civic Centre and most pavilions at recreation reserves and other locations where the building is not occupied, particularly overnight, and have some sort of CCTV cameras installed, both as a deterrent to persons attempting to enter and vandalise the building and as a means of capturing footage of the incidents to assist with identifying the culprits. There is no immediate plans to remove these cameras. Council does not install CCTV cameras at traffic lights or high density populous areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pomeroy. Your fourth question, I will refer again to Lily Rosick, the General Manager of Livable Communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Cross radiations. Telstra 4G, 5G small cells will be adding to 2.6 gigahertz to the electromagnetic field EMF pollution already existing to levels caused by smart meters, solar inverters, routers, computers, mobile phones, wireless phones, fridges, microwaves and power lines outside, and the big 4G, 5G towers already installed in the neighbourhood. All small 4G, 5G cells will be installed overlapping 400-metre radiuses and implanted next to existing power lines, which are also producing EMF radiations. 4G, 5G, EMF, smart electric lighting and EMF radiation can adversely affect humans and wildlife, e.g. disturbs migratory patterns of birds. These lights are so concentrated and have high blue fluorescent content. It can cause severe glare, damaging the retina and cause problems seeing clearly for the safe driving or walking. And the question is, how are you going to monitor those cross and overlapping effects on human health and wildlife? The answer, as advised in the response to your previous question regarding 4G and 5G cell towers, The Australian Communications and Media Authority, an arm of the federal government, is responsible for monitoring these small cell towers. The telecommunications providers are required to strictly follow the mobile phone base station deployment code, mobile phone base station, including small cells and 5G base stations. And they must once again meet Australian standards designed to ensure telcos stay within safe limits of electromagnetic energy. Now, regarding the effect that lighting has on wildlife, Council has partnered with Eastern Councils, the Department of Transport and the University of Melbourne's Urban Light Lab to develop a resource guide for wildlife sensitive lighting, which includes guidance, case studies and provides existing off-the-shelf wildlife sensitive lighting solutions. The Australian Environment Department has released a draft light pollution guidelines that provides the latest science on the effect artificial lighting is having on both animals and humans. Council is now trialling wildlife sensitive lighting. These appear more a yellow than white blue light in 4 locations in Pakenham. These sites include trialling in areas not previously lit, for example, McGregor Road, south of the Pakenham bypass.
Thank you, Ms Rosick. Your final 2 questions I will refer to Andrew Pomeroy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The 5th question. Under the Commonwealth Constitution, all city councils have an irrevocable duty of care towards the health and well-being of their constituents. Under the Information Act 1982 related to freedom of information, ratepayers are legally entitled to a copy of the insurance covering public equipment, which lets us know the level of risks effectively covered by this equipment, which will be installed very close to our houses, and also full disclosure of the cost of these installations to ratepayers. Are you going to provide us these documents? And also want to follow up and say thank you for the further information and clarity that you provided our Governance Manager Doug today regarding this question. We've contacted council's insurers and asked whether public liability claims resulting from 4 to 5G radiation are included in and covered by council's policy. The advice we've received is that if a claim arises from a 5G tower located on a council building, which is very unlikely to occur, the claim may be denied due to the pollution exclusion included in the policy. However, this would depend on the specific claim if one was lodged, which, as I previously mentioned, is highly unlikely. And then question 6. Based on USA studies, the value of the houses next to 4 to 5G small cells have dropped by 45%. Our houses will drop in value. How is Cardinia Council going to compensate effectively and appropriately the financial damage impacting many properties and reduce council rates accordingly? The answer is council is not aware and therefore is not able to comment on the impact of 4 to 5G small cells on house values in Australia or Cardinia Shire Council. Council rates are based on the value of the individual properties. If the value of the property does not reduce, then the council rates are reduced commensurately. Thank you.
Thank you. Those questions will also be emailed to you for your reference. Thank you. Our next question is, sorry, I've lost it on the page. Here we go. We also received a question from Mr. Ron Pushman. I can see Mr. Pushman is here in the gallery. Thank you. I will refer your question again to Mr. Pomeroy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. And thank you, Ron, for your question. Is there any plan to repair, upgrade or rebuild the rotunda located within William Bruce Ronald Reserve, Heritage Springs Estate? And the answer is, the rotunda at William Bruce Ronald Reserve is regularly inspected and maintenance is undertaken as and when required. There are no plans at this stage to either upgrade or rebuild the rotunda. There are plans to upgrade the playground next financial year. However, this does not include works on the rotunda.
Thank you. And Mr. Pushman, you will receive that answer via email as well. No, not at the moment. No, thank you. So that concludes tonight's meeting. So I thank all councillors for their participation. I thank those for attending into the gallery and for watching online. And I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.